Ahoy. So, jestem Karey, jsem z USA, and I'm from the United States. I'll speak in English. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how to live a good life, illustrated by my long-term cooperation with Sladovna and some situations that happened. So in the beginning, this is 1970, with my kindergarten, I visited a conceptual art exhibit, and it was a fantastic experience, and it really put me on the path to a creative life. And it was a room filled with mattresses, and we just jumped through a hole. And then I later became an artist, and this is a painting I sold, and it's important because it gave me the money to make my first trip to the Czech Republic, and it was the first Cesto do Neznama. That was what it was called, Journey to the Unknown. And it was there that I met my future husband at the airport, at the payphone, and this was the reason why I later moved to the Czech Republic, and he's even here tonight. So, my life with Peppa, it actually took me to, I'm from Texas, and it took me to Utah, where I joined the Children's Museum of Utah, and then on to New York, and I had even had the idea of something like this, and then we moved finally to the Czech Republic, and I took Czech, but it didn't work. But something very important happened. One day this woman came into my lesson, Teresa, and she said, would you like to join my Mezinárodní divadelní skupina? And I said, of course. And I was trying to found a children's museum in České Budějovice, and I asked her to help me, and she agreed. So then I introduced this concept of children's museums to her, and we did found Objevarium, and it's still going. This was actually our second exhibition. It was called Mega Řecko, and we borrowed it from Zoom. And it's important because it actually became the basis of Cesto do Neznama, the first big interactive exhibit at Sladovna. And so here's another view of it. You've already seen it. So it was really amazing. I was used to working with big budgets, a lot of money in the US, and we did this with no money, a lot of creativity, and a lot of upcycling. And I really love this exhibit, and it brought me something very important, which were two collaborators. It brought me Silva, and it brought me Lukáš Urbanec, who I continue to cooperate with today, as well as Teresa. And these have been very important partnerships for me. And then I'm from the United States, and they don't teach us very much at school. And I always wanted to know more about European history, and I had an amazing opportunity with the illustrator Renata Fučíková when we made Stroj času. And as you know, from my own childhood, I was very interested in play spaces, and then in the U.S. I developed some, and Teresa asked me to be the curator for Příležitosti, so I was happy to bring my experience to this. And then one exhibit no one has mentioned yet was Dobrodruzi, and this for me, I wasn't the curator, I was an artist, and I made these two things, and it was a lot of fun, but for me it was important because it illustrated that Sladovna was something that would take important topics like migration. Objevarium's big exhibit is Leonardo, and we were very lucky. We wanted to do it for many years, and finally we had the opportunity to do it in Sladovna, and an important part of it is Leonardium. And so here, the Leonardium was the part where we wanted Leonardo to inspire the children with his his thinking, his engineering skills, and people could actually try it themselves. And then we also wanted to make something where people could create themselves. So we had our first Maker Day festival in Sladovna, first adventure playground. And and then we continue to do that. It's one of our annual festivals that we do in České Budějovice, so June 13th. And then after that, Teresa said, we don't have the next exhibit after Leonardo. Can you do something? And I always wanted to make one of these artistic mini golf courses. I had been to one. And so with Lukáš, we invited some artists and we created the first mini golf course. And then finally we came back full circle. When my first experience at Sladovna was unloading a very, very heavy exhibit and storing it at Sladovna, Letme Vysoko. And then many years later, Lukáš, Teresa, and I came back and we recreated a new version. And then our last big exhibit here was, we created Šestý smysl města, and then we gave it to Sladovna. We partnered with them and they reiterated it into Já město. But I think it really represented. And then this is my last slide. In the fall, I did an exhibition of my own artwork, not for children, called Ocean. And this was very important. I did it with a very good friend of mine who I met back in the Children's Museum of Utah, Pamela Popeson, who was an artist and writer. And she was facing a terminal illness and actually passed away 2 weeks ago. And so I was very happy to have this experience to do this with her. And I would just like to finish by saying that for me, Sladovna is a place where people can connect with very deep human values. And it gave Pamela and I the space to make a physical manifestation of our friendship, of the passage of time, our journey through life. And I think that for me, this is really what Sladovna is. It helps people connect with deep human values, and the kind of experiences you can have here can resonate through a lifetime. Thank you.